I decided to let karma take the wheel, because sometimes the best revenge is simply allowing the universe to handle the payback. My sister stole my fiance 15 years ago, and now she's offering me her husband, because they're screwed. This is about my sister Samantha. Well, I'm going to call her by her real name, because who cares? There's no better way of saying this. But yeah, Samantha lured my fiancé into her skirts because she felt he was too handsome and rich for a plain-looking girl like me. She thought he deserved someone gorgeous. So she offered herself, and that dumbass Dick married her. Good for them, because I got rid of a cheater and found someone who deserved me. Hear me out. This is going to be a long one because it goes back 15 years ago when I was in my mid-20s. I am Olivia Parker, and I am 41 years old, as a dedicated doctor in a bustling hospital. I've spent years tending to the needs of my patients with care and compassion. Samantha is 6 years younger than me and has an opposite person personality. She's the girl who gets the most attention at all family and social gatherings, and she ensured that she got it right from our childhood. She was more focused on getting dressed up and hanging out with friends. No doubt she's pretty and what you call drop-dead gorgeous, and she's proud of it. She leaves no opportunity to flaunt her superficial beauty and look down upon others who don't fit her beauty standard like me. She was always critical of my dressing sense and made fun of my not-so-social nature as a kid. I was more inclined towards academia, so I was mostly seen with my books and comics. Instead of putting makeup on my Barbie, I didn't even own a Barbie Samantha, and I never shared a sisterly bond. She considered herself a fashionista, while I was a plain-looking girl. That's what she called me, plain. Well, she was right to an extent. I'm a simple woman with no pomp in show, no over-the-top drama for attention. I'm calm and composed and like to be in my own space very early. I left home after high school, and I couldn't have been more relieved. Who wants to be around an entitled brat life? Was fun with my busy schedule in medical school. I used to visit home during holidays or spring break, and I kept my trips short. Things got straightened out with Samantha as we had minimal encounters. Samantha dropped out of high school to pursue a career in fashion. Later, she again fell out of fashion school to pursue a modeling career, until I was in touch with her. She got 2 photo shoot projects for a local apparel brand in 5 years. We can't call this a successful modeling career, which she often refers to. If you think I mean, hold on. After I moved out of the house, the bitterness between Samantha and me subsided. We met twice a year. For a few days, she didn't get enough opportunity to piss me off, so we were excellent in my first year in college. I met Daniel. He was relatively senior to me. He was pursuing his master's, while I was in my first year for a bachelor's degree. Besides, he had a couple of years of hands-on experience as a duty doctor. He was specializing as a heart specialist, one of the most reputed specializations to add a cherry to the cake. He was handsome. He used to give lessons on the subject of the circulatory system to first students to earn some extra bucks and brush up his knowledge. He was famous for his simple teaching methods, which were more popular amongst the girls, because you know who doesn't want to take lessons from a blue-eyed 6'2" lean and well-built university senior. I also took lessons from him, and eventually we started dating in my final year of college. He proposed to me after dating for 4 years. I had no reason to say no. He was already working at a hospital by then during the holidays. When I went home, Mom saw the ring on my finger and asked. In the happy moments of festivities, I told her everything. She jumped in excitement, because it is not usual for me to get serious with anyone. Daniel was the first guy I ever dated or had sex with. Mom asked me for details about Daniel because she had sniffed our marriage on the cards. Samantha often used to say that I'm never going to find a good man to marry me. By good, she meant rich and handsome whenever she got to know that I was seeing a guy. She would remark, "He's so going to run away. Your relationship won't even last for a week." So when Samantha got to know about Daniel, her eyes lit up, and she wanted to know more about him. It was unusual for her to take an interest in my life because it has always been very dull. I asked, "Why do you want to know about him?" She said he's going to be family, so I should know him. Mom asked me to call him for dinner on New Year's Eve. Later, I got to know that Samantha had asked Mom to invite Daniel. We didn't have any plans for that year, so Daniel agreed to tag along when we reached home. Samantha greeted us. It was surprising because Samantha is a party person. She's never seen home on weekends on New Year's. She has off for a week-long party with her friends, but this time she was at home, quite surprising. It should have been alarming, but I didn't get bothered. I don't give a crap about others' lives. I went home with Daniel, and Daniel floored my sister. Her first comment was, "I thought you to be rich, but you're handsome too." Her flirtatious gestures were just so evident. It was right on my face. Yet I didn't take any heed. I was secure in my relationship throughout the evening. She made moves at him by complimenting him, trivially, touching his arms and thighs unnecessarily, and forcing a conversation with him. She sat next to him at the dinner table. I gave her a look, and she made a cute pout and said, "You get to sit with him every day today. I can be his arm candy." Everyone chuckled, and we took it as light fun during the conversation. She learned that Daniel had gone for a walk after his dinner. As soon as he cleared up after the dinner, she offered to give him a tour of the neighborhood. Daniel looked at me while I sat there with a straight face, not knowing what to say. Daniel replied with an awkward yes, and they both went out for a walk that night while we were driving back from my parents' place. Daniel asked me if I had noticed how Samantha was flirting with him. I laughed and brushed it off, saying she's an attention seeker. I thought Daniel wasn't so shallow that he would fall for superficial beauty, but dang, he did. He was equally mesmerized by Samantha's charm, and he cheated on the first opportunity he got. A few months later, I had my final year exams, as usual. I cut down on our hangouts to focus on my studies. Eventually, I found him cutting down the communication. When I confronted him, he said he wanted me to focus on my finals. I was too busy to suspect any foul play on the last day of my exam. I asked him to pick me up from college, but he said he was busy later that night. I called him to check up on him. He said he was home but was too tired and ready to doze off. I went to his place to surprise him, but it was locked. I called him again, but he didn't respond. I waited for his call the next day, but he didn't call back. Shameless, I called him again and asked him why he lied. The last night, he said he forgot to mention that he had crashed at his colleague's place. Stupid me, didn't read this to be any signal. How would I? This was the first time anything such was happening to me. This continued for a week until my lost marbles came back to the census. I asked him point blank if he wanted to break up with me. He hesitated for a few seconds before murmuring a yes. He said he no longer loved me. That was it. The last conversation we ever had. I didn't ask what, when, or how. Heartbreak is always painful, and that too, without any reason. Even more, he left me with a sense of insecurity, self-doubt, and many unanswered questions which he didn't answer, and neither did I ask. It took months and many bottles of single malt whiskey, but eventually I moved on. I was glad that he broke up after my finals, otherwise I would have taken one more year to finish medical school. 7 months later, I got a call from Samantha, and she invited me for her engagement. I congratulated her and asked about the guy. She didn't say the name, and asked me to come to the party and meet him in person. I was happy for her, yet it saddened me for a while that I was supposed to be married during that time. But I was single, and nursing my breakup. I tried to forget my miserable life, and showed up at my sister's engagement as soon as I entered the venue. I saw the board as Samantha and Daniel. It gave me shivers down my spine, but I calmed down myself, saying Daniel is too common a name. He might be someone else. But as I went inside, I ran into 2 of Daniel's friends. They turned to the other side when they saw me coming. My heartbeat raced as I went near the podium where Samantha was supposed to be sitting with her fiance. The moment I saw Daniel sitting with her, his arms wrapped around hers, I froze. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there with tears in my eyes. Are you enjoying the story so far? Please show your support by liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's dive back into the story. The next thing I remember was my mom pulling me to a corner and asking me to behave. She asked me not to create any scenes there and let everyone be happy. She said no one knows about our past and she would like to have it that way. I cried out loud and yelled, "You know everything, and yet you let this happen. Samantha is a witch. You all are evil. You all are in this together." By then, I saw Samantha calm with an evil smile. It was like 15 years ago. Yet I remember every word of her, so clearly that was the most humiliating moment of my life. She said you thought you could have this man pointing toward Daniel, handsome, tall, rich. Are you so plain? No way, you don't deserve him. You deserve someone plain. Like you do. You see how beautiful we look together and how people are adoring us. Oh my God, it's such a cute couple. Huh, everyone would have laughed. See you beside him. I wanted to slap her right across her face. But my mom stopped me and asked me to leave. She thought I was there to stop the engagement. She was yelling at me. Why did you come here? Don't you have any self-respect? I said, I didn't know that this witch was effing him. Had I known, I would have never shown my face. Samantha denied having invited me. She lied to Mom and said that she didn't invite me. Mom had asked her not to invite me because I would be hurt. Still, Samantha deliberately invited me to humiliate me. I left the place bawling and howling. My breakup pain bounced back. It would have been an understatement to say that it was difficult. It was the most traumatic phase of my life. Luckily, I graduated with a good grade and got into a good hospital, with hectic duty hours. I barely had time to think about anything. I deliberately kept myself busy on off days. I moved on. Years later, I met my husband at work. He's a board member of the hospital chain where I work. We dated for 4 years and got married. Now we are proud parents of 2 kids. Fast forward to a week ago, when I got a call from an unknown number. I answered the call, and the person identified herself as Samantha. Even after hearing her name, it took me a few seconds to realize she was my sister. P.S. Few of my patients' names are also Samantha. I asked her why she called me. She was acting so sweet, asking about my life. The Samantha I know won't spare a second on me without any. I said, cut the crap and say, what do you want? She remained silent for a moment and said, actually, I need help. My husband Daniel has gotten into trouble. A patient got a post-surgery allergy, and the hospital might sack him. I was like, what can I do about it? She said that Daniel worked at one of the hospital chains, whose board member is my husband, so my husband could save him from any severe punishment. By then, I had zoned out. I snapped at her, not to call me ever again, and we weren't going to help them. I didn't know that Daniel was working for the same hospital chain as me. He was working at a different location. I looked up the hospital's employee portal and found Daniel, but his current status showed as suspended. I wanted to discuss this with my husband. I didn't want to dig out my past, so I let this slide. 2 days back, my mom showed up at my door. I felt like I had seen a ghost. I cut them off since Samantha's engagement day. She hugged me and cried, saying it was so good to see me after so many years. But I knew that her underlying motive behind all this sweetness was to save Daniel's butt. My husband was home at the time. He heard my mom's plea to help her. Golden son-in-law, my husband, said, Daniel is accused of medical negligence, and there's an ongoing investigation against him. He said there was nothing he could do, and even if he could, he wouldn't do it. He doesn't exercise his power for personal benefit. My mom bit her lips and left without saying a word. Yesterday, my husband came back from work and said that Daniel's investigation had been concluded. He would be sacked from his job, but my husband has the power to let him retain his medical license against a hefty penalty amount. He said he could ask the other board members to be lenient on Daniel and not forward his case to the state healthcare for further investigation. Now I'm going to fix it. Should I forget my humiliation and help Daniel? Or should I make him pay the price of his deeds being a doctor? I know how difficult it is to get an AIC medical degree, and losing the license is the worst thing that can happen to a doctor. Listen, you've been through enough, haven't you? You've already weathered the storm of Daniel's betrayal and Samantha's theatric. Now she wants to drag you back into the madness to clean up her mess, I don't think. So you've got your own life to live, your own family to take care of, and your sanity to preserve. So hold your head high up and let them deal with the fallout of their actions. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later. Update, there was no need to post it here to get your opinion. What Samantha and my mother did after that day made it clear that they didn't deserve any help. They are anything but narcissistic. Samantha and Em have been hurling abuses at me on social media. I don't use Facebook much this week. When I opened it, I found that Samantha had tagged me in several posts. She called me a vindictive witch for supposedly framing her husband. She wrote a long post claiming I was jealous of her because Daniel had dumped me and married her, and I was seeking revenge. My mom jumped on the bandwagon saying I had abused them and cut them off because I couldn't stand Daniel marrying Samantha. Even the extended family sided with them, commenting that I had taken revenge too far by affecting Daniel's livelihood. Daniel himself commented saying I was delusional and that he never loved me or proposed to me. He claimed he had always loved Samantha. I immediately untagged myself and blocked them. I told my husband not to spare Daniel from any charges. He gave me a smirk and said he had never seen me this angry. So Daniel was officially sacked from the hospital, and his case was forwarded to the state healthcare department for license cancellation. The government body would conduct a fresh investigation. If found guilty, Daniel would lose his license and possibly go to prison. That's like a cherry on the cake. We'll update you as the situation progresses. Right now, I'm enjoying the drama with a basket of popcorn. Yum yum. Edit. Small clarification, Samantha and my mom were not added to my social media account. I have an open account so that anybody could tag me in their posts. I had not blocked them earlier because 15 years ago I wasn't using social media. Now they are blocked from social media. And also from my life, it seems like Daniel's fairy tale has taken a rather abrupt turn. Like I said, karma's got a funny way of catching up with people, and it looks like Daniel's finally getting a taste of his own medicine. Update. To hello. Can a person stoop lower now? I know Daniel showed up at my workplace. As I said, he worked at the same hospital chain as me, but in a different location. He posed himself as a patient and came inside my chamber. He knew there was no way I would have met him if he had come to see me. I immediately asked him to leave. He said he had paid a fee to consult me, so as a doctor I should treat him fair enough. I listened to his problems. Meanwhile, I swiftly switched on the voice recorder on my phone. I did this so that he couldn't trap me in another mess, and I'm glad I did. He was faking his health condition, saying he had gotten the flu, and all I acted professionally and gave him the medication as per the symptoms, but he wasn't ready to leave and unnecessarily asked stupid questions. He started flirting. I asked him to stop and leave. He said, I wanted to apologize to you long back. I didn't intend to hurt you, but your sister trapped me and made me sleep with her. Then she blackmailed me to marry her, else she would press molestation charges on me. I asked him to stop right there, because all he spoke was complete BS. I could have called security on him, but I was enjoying his desperation. Revenge is so sweet. I tell you, I heard him out. With a satisfied smile, he went on to say, I know you still love me. That's why you still hurt and want to take your revenge, honestly. I still feel for you. I regret marrying Samantha. If you can convince your husband to save me from prison time, I promise I'm going to leave Samantha and be your lover. You don't need to leave your husband, but we can secretly have our own. That douchebag dared to say this. I burst out in laughter, called security on him, and asked him to leave. He had no idea that he was being recorded. The disappointment on his face was so satisfying. He thought he convinced me, huh? I texted Samantha and wanted to send her the recordings of her low-life husband. I said, your loser husband visited my clinic posing as a patient. She said, I know, he tells me everything. We also know that you still love him. I can let you sleep with him for a night, if you can save his license and prison time. Her response blew my mind. No point talking to her any further. They are together in this dirty game. I told my husband about this, and he was aghast. He said we could have sued him for offering bribes, but it would dig out my painful past. I said let him handle one charge at a time, but I'm going to do my bit to exact my revenge. I added Samantha, Daniel, my mom, and other relatives on Facebook. Samantha and Daniel accepted it at once. They may have taken it as a positive sign for me. Then I wrote a long post about how Samantha, Daniel, and my mom had been trying to manipulate me to help Daniel skip prison time. I attached the screenshot of the conversation with Samantha. I also turned the voice recordings into a still video with Daniel and Samantha's picture, with the voice running in the background, and uploaded it. That post just blew up with comments. I blocked Samantha, Daniel, and Mom because I knew they would retaliate. My extended family and relatives expressed their disgust about Samantha offering to let Daniel hook up with me to get away with his negligence. Samantha and my mom tried to contact me, but I had blocked their calls and voicemails. I spent the whole day yesterday, and today reading the comments on the post. People have gone next level. Trolling Samantha Daniel. My weekend couldn't be better. Oh, the audacity. Of some people never fails to amaze me. How delusional can one get? So let me get this straight. Daniel, the Casanova extraordinaire, decides to grace your workplace with his presence, spins some ludicrous tale about your undying love for him, and then has the nerve to suggest a freaky rendezvous behind Samantha's back, and as if that weren't enough. Samantha chimes in with her brand of insanity, offering to let you have a little piece of her hubby, if it means saving his sorry behind from prison. I mean, is this real? With one well-timed post, you've exposed their shameless antics for the world to see, and the internet's response, pure gold after all. There's nothing quite like a weekend spent sipping tea and watching the drama unfold. What do you make of this? What would you have done? Thanks for watching. How did you find the story? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more awesome stories. Like this, your feedback and support mean a lot.